Hey guys, today we are going to look at stories and change. We are going to look at how change is always created by the stories, or we are going to look at how change is facilitated by the change in how we tell our stories. If you look at the holy books, the Bible or the Quran, it is those books are made up of stories. Even for the Bhagavad Gita for the Hindus, everything right in there is made up of characters and stories. If you look, most of them they usually tell about the stories of the prophets or the stories of the messengers of God and how they changed the world around them. And to some extent, the same stories which are told, they are told in a way that they show how some of the humans or some of the characters who really couldn't change and the consequences of what happened to them. Apart from the religious significance of our holy books, when we look at what the deep message in which they try to tell us is that the world is made up, or the world is in a state of constant change, and the constant change depends on the changes in which man himself make. If you've been keen on the movies which you've watched, or on the novels which you've read, or at least the little dramas which maybe you've come across in your life, you're going to find that the most profound thing for a character is his or her ability to change. Somewhere along the plot of the story, you're going to find that a character has to face the possibility of change, and everything in that plot or that story depends on the changes in which the character makes, or on the changes in which they don't want to make. And for most of the time, the characters whom adapt to change usually prosper and thrive, and at the end, their life seems more meaningful because of the little changes in which they do. But for those characters whom really don't change, or they shy away from the opportunities in which they can change themselves, their fate is always tragic most of the time. And even if it's not tragic, there is always the danger of the tragedy striking them at any moment because of the opportunities of change in which they let they let go, or they let escape them when they knocked at their doors. So the thing which is most profound in the world is change. Nothing ever beats change. And if I'm not wrong, there is I really don't remember clearly if it's Victor Hugo who said you cannot you cannot stop an idea whose time has come. And I'm really not sure if I've quoted the name of the author the author of the quote correctly, but I'm going to cross reference. It's just that just remember the quote, but I don't really remember who told. that quote, but I guess I I highly guess it's Victor Hugo. So the point which Victor Hugo is trying to to emphasize in his short quote is that everyone or every civilization cannot stop when changes start happening. So an idea of change, or an idea which changes how the society exists, is an idea which comes with a lot of force, and it sweeps away everyone, those who are willing to embrace it and those who are not willing to embrace the same change. So it doesn't choose actually, it always takes everything and everyone around it, simply because if a change has come, it's not going to stand out for only those who are going to embrace it, because when a change comes, it changes everything, it sweeps everything, like how a tsunami does. So if we come back to our title of today's video about the change stories and change, it's inevitable that we should talk about how we can change our stories, or how we can tune in the ideas in our stories, and at least come up with something which is going to change us. If you look at there's a verse in the Quran which says Allah cannot change the situation of people unless those people themselves change what is inside them. And this really stands out in the sense that no one, even God himself, can't change anyone unless they really want to change. So if you've always been looking at yourself, like if you have always been looking at yourself as, let's say you look yourself like a loser, or you take yourself as a victim, or you take yourself as a person who doesn't have really control of their life, then nothing is going to change unless you start to change your own view of yourself. Most of the time, we really tend to look at the world with with an eye which degrades us and degrades the humanity around us. But it doesn't have to be that way, because when you look at humanity itself, it's made up of every one of us. You, me, the person sitting next to you, or the person you pass around the street. Everyone, that's what makes up humanity. You cannot put a label on humanity as something more like, let's say, it's only until you see a big population that you say that's humanity. Humanity starts with you, and humanity is just a collection of all human beings of every population, and that means you still matter, or you still count as part of it. So the thing which you really have to be keen on is which part of the story are you trying to look at, which maybe can be a barrier to the change in which you do or you want to see in either your life or in someone else's life. If you really want to have a positive change, then you really have to start thinking positively. And thinking positively isn't just an option of saying, I now have to change or I start thinking in this way. No, you really have thinking or a thought without any action transforms nothing and changes nothing. So the changes which you make in your stories must be accompanied by appropriate and effective action so that at the end you're going to really look and trace where everything began to change in your life, or you're going to see that I really did this action. I thought I had this idea, or I thought this way, and I made this action, and I achieved this result. And as we have said, every character in any work of fiction has has a possibility or an opportunity of them to change themselves, because most of those characters are a representation of the real population or the real world situations. And for us who are in the real world, we really most of the time look up to those characters. And the most profound thing in which we find in them is that for those who don't adapt or for those who don't embrace the change, they end up breaking or they end up dying. And dying doesn't mean the final death, because most of the time we can be alive but we are dead. It's just a matter of the perspective in which you view death. But the really main thing is you can be alive and be alive, and you can be alive and be dead at the same time, even before being dead at the final death. So what you really should do is you should look at your story and you make the necessary changes in which at least they can make your life more better, or you can have a more meaningful impact on the world around you. Just remember, we've said there is always an opportunity of change everywhere, in every situation, in every action, in every idea, or in everything, in every interaction you make. There is always a possibility of change. And unless you embrace that, you are not going to change anything. Either you're not going to change the world or you're not going to change yourself. And changing the world simply starts with changing yourself. You are always at the center of the world, and you are always the seed of change. So change your story and change the world, your world, and our world. And with that, adios till we meet next time. See you when you see me.